It's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans. Well, after months of trying to pass a funding budget so that we would be able to keep the government open and funded, it happened in this last week. Remarkably, 112 Republicans actually voted no, meaning that they preferred to have a shutdown of government, stop functions of government. And fortunately, because we had Democrats who stepped up and said, yes, we are going to work with the other Republicans and we're going to have a budget agreement. Well, there are some good things in there that I was happy to vote for. There are some things that absolutely did help children, like the Head Start program. There was money for climate and energy resiliency. We were able to help some children, some young people with physical disabilities, physical and mental disabilities. But the big thing is that we didn't shut down the government. There are also some things not so good that I am not happy with. I'm always hoping that we're going to able to do something positive about immigration. I'm very disappointed that there was a failure to fund the agency that has 13,000 people in Gaza that provide humanitarian assistance called UNRWA, and funding for that agency was taken away. But ultimately, at the bottom line, I think it was very important that we do have a way to fund the government going forward. We did it, the good and the not so good. Also, we saw a meeting of the Republican study group that offered their proposals going forward. 171 GOP lawmakers are part of that, so that's most of them. And among the ideas that they had was to raise the age of Social Security eligibility, to pass what they call the Life at Conception Act. In other words, make absolutely permanent in all states in the United States that you would not have reproductive rights. Under the provision that is going forward for Medicare to negotiate for lower prices for prescription drugs. And also they want to undo the $35 for insulin that is available now for people on Medicare, and hopefully soon for all Americans. So they just want to undo things that have made life easier for many people. I wanted you to know that's their position. But also this week, as a member of the Budget Committee, I was given a preview of what the President Joe Biden's budget is going to look like. And it's a very different thing. You know, Joe Biden has always said that the wealthy need to pay their fair share. So his budget includes a 25% tax increase on the wealthiest 0.01% of Americans. It also has a permanent child tax credit, which we know when we had it for 1 year during the pandemic, reduced child poverty by half in the United States. Now we'll have it again if we get this budget passed. The legislation also had a national paid family and medical leave put in so that people can take off work when they need to for their families or for an illness. The president's budget proposal will also talk about how we're going to lower healthcare costs. But it was also pointed out that all of these things are also going to make our economy stronger and better. So understand, this is going forward. This is for next year's budget. The one I just referred to before is the one that we just now passed with the good and the bad. But what the president is proposing is really good, and I'm looking forward to helping get that new budget for next year passed. This week, we unanimously passed a bill to rein in data brokers. What are data brokers? These are people who buy and sell information about you, about anyone who is online. They sell that to the highest bidder, meaning that you don't have a lot of privacy online. Most people, if you ask what's a data broker, have never heard of that before, but they are actively using the information that you have. So the legislation that we passed is rather limited and modest. What it says is that none of the data brokers can pass on information about Americans to adversaries, any country that is considered an adversary of the United States. But I feel like it has to go much further. We know that most Americans are very concerned about the privacy, the use of their data online. Who is collecting that data? Where is it going? And what is the information that they are collecting? And so I have in the past introduced and actually passed out of committee the Data Privacy and Protection Act that for the first time and about time said to all of the big tech companies, all of them, that you cannot just willy-nilly take our information and pass it on to others. We need to have privacy legislation that sets up borderlines for big tech so that they can't use our information, allowing us often to opt out, to protect our children who are exploited online, etc. So I was happy to co-sponsor the legislation, but wanted it to go far beyond just our adversaries, because all of the big tech companies, I believe, are abusing the information that we give to them, even though it may be reluctantly online. Whenever I get a chance to talk to students in the district, I absolutely try and take it. And this last week, I went to Amundsen High School, a school in Chicago. I had the opportunity to talk to a full auditorium of juniors in high school, 300 of them who were there. And they had lots of questions. Well, most of them. I think some of them might have been taking a nap. I'm not sure. But most of them were very interested from their civics class in being in the auditorium at that time. And they had a lot of questions to ask about climate, about the cost of higher education, of going to college. They were very interested, a number of them, and well informed about the war that's going on in the Middle East. They're very concerned about humanitarian assistance in particular. But every question that they asked showed that they're following the news, they are interested and worried about issues like gun violence. There actually have been some shootings in Chicago, not far from their neighborhood. So we're not necessarily even talking about these mass shootings. We're talking about the so-called everyday shootings that happen in the community. But I had a message too, and my message was, get involved. This is your century. This is your time. Help shape it. Get involved in organizations on different issues. Make sure, if you're eligible, and there are a few that are, to vote in this next election. But you don't even have to be a registered voter in order to participate in elections. Find out about candidates. Help those that you think will advance what you're interested in. We listen to what young people have to say, and I encourage them to have their voices heard. So that's it for today. That's it for this week. And I'll see you next week with my plans and pans. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.